Why did I eat all those Cliff Bars?
So after staying at Wallowa Lake, we were separated. Josh went into the small town of Joseph, and I went into the slightly larger town of Enterprise. On my way in there, as we were planning to meet up, he was a little bit behind me. I found a cherry stand, and turns out that the people selling cherries were both Seventh-day Adventists, so the same religion that I am, and they also, after talking to them for a while, turns out they grew up with my mom and my two aunts, so that was really cool to make that connection. Totally wild how that happens. You just meet somebody along the side of the road, and it turns out they like grew up with your parent, well, your mom at least, and that was just mind-blowing to me. It was really cool to meet them and make that connection. Later that day, we went through the town of Wallowa, which is not really where Wallowa Lake is, but as we were going through the town, we were asking this guy for information, like, you know, where can we stop to use the bathroom and stuff. He was just on the side of the road, and he's like, oh, hey, you should come back to my little shop, and they sold like milkshakes and grilled cheese and stuff, and so we got some food, and he introduced us to, he also had a small aviation museum there, and his claim to fame was Malenko. It's this little stuffed monkey that has done all these crazy flights, flown on all these like vintage and older planes, and done these really interesting like flight itineraries, and apparently he's like the most famous stuffed animal in the aviation world. So we got to take a picture with him and meet him, and definitely a way to kind of get kids involved in aviation and interested in planes and stuff like that. So that was really cool. We ended up staying with a Warm Showers host in La Grande, Oregon that night, and he had a whole pasta dinner ready for us when we got there. He made us a delicious protein pancake breakfast as well, so that was really awesome. I went to church in La Grande, Oregon the next morning, and then from there we took kind of just a chill, easy day to a campground not too far away, and that was really nice. We kind of gave ourselves a rest. After camping for one night, we headed to Heppner, Oregon, where I have some family friends, really close friends of ours that I had growing up, and we were able to stay with them a couple nights actually, and they just totally spoiled us. I mean, made us so much good food. We were able to sleep in warm beds, have a shower, and just kind of took a day, our first true day of not doing any exercise. We did do one day of not on the bikes when we hiked up to the lake near Wallowa Lake, the Alpine Lake over there, but that was a 17-mile day, and so I don't really consider that a rest. But we finally took a rest day, didn't even touch the bikes other than washing them, and got to do some slack lining, which was great, and just really have a chill day. Watched a couple movies, and my family friends, the Bleths, just want to do a huge shout out to them. Thank you so much for hosting us and just taking care of us like you would your own children, and it really shows that you guys cared about us and just want to keep up with the rest of our journey, so thank you for that. After leaving the Bleth's house, where we stayed with my family friends there, we headed towards the Columbia River Gorge, and a huge rainstorm came in. We were biking through drenching rain and cold rain, and at first we thought, oh, instead of getting all our stuff wet, we'll just go shirtless and like basically strip as much clothing as we possibly can in order to keep everything dry. Well, that was a pretty terrible idea, because the rain in the Pacific Northwest happens to be a lot colder than the rain in the South, where I'm used to biking around. So yeah, we were pretty much ice cubes by a couple of hours in, and found some random person's carport and just kind of like camped out under there until the rain passed over.
Blue rarely seems so beautiful. Seriously. Oh, thank God for blue skies.
Look at that little sliver of blue sky.
Oh,
We've been riding in the rain for the past hour and a half. It's been pretty cold, pretty wet. And thankfully they didn't get mad at us. They didn't even see us, I guess, or weren't home, but we kind of just like bummed underneath their carport to wait out the rainstorm. Kept on moving after that, after the rain cleared up, and honestly had a really great day the rest of that day. Ended up camping at Cottonwood Canyon State Park, where we shared a campsite with some kind of teenage youth group or something like that. I don't actually think we were supposed to be there, but we saw all these tents just out in the grass and we thought, oh, this must be where the tent camping is, so we set up our tent as well. And later it seemed like they were kind of just one big group and we were outsiders. But we kind of hung out there, dealt with the noise and the loud talking late into the evening, and I think got free camping as a result of it, so I guess it was a worthwhile trade-off. The Columbia River Gorge has probably been one of my favorite parts of the trip so far. We saw, there's like this Stonehenge that was modeled after the original Stonehenge. I kind of had my doubts about it, but it was kind of a cool thing right there on the Columbia River Gorge. We followed the gorge through the Dalles and Hood River. Hood River is like one of my favorite towns that we've stopped in so far. I mean, I could see myself living there. Really awesome place, and just a lot of good vibes. And stopped at a Walmart there to stock up. And from there, instead of continuing along the Columbia River Gorge, we headed south towards Mount Hood. And that was an incredible experience as well. Lots of climbing for sure, but we climbed our way up to Mount Hood, saw some incredible views, went to Trillium Lake, which is a very popular place. Honestly, maybe too popular. It was really overcrowded, and there was just a lot of people throwing trash everywhere, pouring their beer into the lake. There was a dead fish that like floated up to us, and so it was just kind of sad to see that some of these popularized places in nature are so overcrowded, and everybody wants to get that Instagram photo, and so they go there, but they don't really take care of the place. And so I don't know, I guess just from my own perspective, I wish that people would take care of the nature that we have and that we love, and the beautiful places, keep them beautiful. Don't mess them up with your trash and your litter, and try to leave them as you found them. And just kind of inspires me to go to the more forgotten places, the places that are a little more under the radar, and get away from all of those crowds and people, because it was kind of a poor experience. You would be surprised at the types of things you can find on the side of the road while you're biking, because when you're in a car you're going too fast, but when you're on a bike you see everything. And so yeah, found a nice hat, and I think I'll hang on to it. It'll be kind of my memento, my souvenir from the trip. We ended up staying with another Warm Showers host in Mount Hood Village on the other side of Mount Hood. Her name was Rebecca, really nice and awesome lady. She actually let us stay at her house when she wasn't there, when she was at work. So we kind of went in there. It was a pretty small apartment, actually from a hotel or a motel that had been converted into apartments. And so there wasn't a kitchen. She just had like a induction stove and an Instapot, and so we made some food using that. And she came the next morning. She had worked night shift as a nurse, and she came the next morning, and we had breakfast together and just kind of chatted and got to know her a little bit. And her dog as well, Ragnar, who is kind of an adventure dog, has his own Instagram and whatnot. After staying with Rebecca, we headed back up to the Columbia River Gorge and backtracked a little bit towards some of the waterfalls, incredible waterfalls that are there, sort of just on the eastern side of Portland. So Multnomah Falls, we also saw Wakena Falls and Ferry Falls and Latourell Falls, and all of them just beautiful and incredible, different in their own way. And I'm so used to the waterfalls out in Tennessee that kind of all start to look the same. It's just a broad waterfall that falls maybe 50 to 100 feet. These ones, they were skinny, there was large, there was like cone shaped. It was just kind of cool to see the different variety that we don't really get as much in Tennessee. That night we camped out probably somewhat illegally. I have a little video of me in the dark. It looks like I should have one, or it's like one of those like ex-convicts where they like garble their voice, except I don't have the garbled voice that I took on my phone, so I'll go ahead and play that. But basically we're just hanging out at this like day use area until it closes at 10, hoping the rangers will leave and we can set up camp and then get out tomorrow morning before they come back, because we're all about that free camping. So I think my camera died from being, or not died, but was too hot, and so it kind of skipped the last part of my video. But just to finish up, we are staying with the sister of a friend. Great accommodations, super hospitable. Just let us stay in her house with her housemates were gone and she was going to be gone, so once again just the trust that was shown for us to stay somewhere and take care of the place, despite the occupants not actually being there. I'm just really thankful for that. And here in Portland, we've really enjoyed ourselves. We've eaten really well. We even went on an all-night summer solstice bike ride, group bike ride. There's a biker community called Pedalpalooza that does group rides. There's like 4 or 5 different ones daily. And there's a really famous nude ride throughout Portland. Didn't do that one, but we joined this group that rode all through the night on the shortest night of the year, and just met a bunch of interesting people and had a really fun time. Really tiring time, but fun nonetheless. And we're able to see the sunrise the next morning with all of our new friends, and yeah, really interesting time. We came back and crashed, and we've just been kind of chilling, watching movies, recovering a little bit, eating lots of good food, making good food. It's nice to not be eating stuff that packs in a pannier well, for once. So next up, we're headed to the Oregon coast and then up to Olympic National Park.